All right, so at this point in your project, you should have a nice title screen. And your one-player button, mine doesn't work yet, but my two-player button works. And you should be able to click every square randomly, and it alternates images. Okay, there, Homer won 3 in a row, but it allows me to keep going. Okay, and you also should not be allowed to click in the same spot. So if I run that again, just make sure that this works as well. So if I click here and then I click here again, nothing happens. And then if I click in the next screen, the other character appears. What can sometimes happen is if you click in one square and then click there again, sometimes you get Homer Simpson drawing in the next one, so the player 2 loses a turn. So you want to make sure that that doesn't work. You always want to make sure that when a blank square is clicked, that the opposite image appears. Okay, so you don't want anyone to lose their turn. So this program seems to be working. The only thing it doesn't do is check for a winner or a tie game. So I'm going to give you some hints as to how you could do that. It's actually not too difficult. And just one more hint, if I'm going to click on TicTacToe game. All right, so we have all of these 8 variables determining if the player has clicked or not in the square. So 0 means nobody has clicked. 1 means player 1 clicked, and then if it's a 2, then player 2 clicked. And in your paint method, in your draw board method, this method draws everything. It draws the background, it draws the grid lines, and then it draws all the appropriate images as necessary. And you can see my first 3 are right there. Okay, so of course you're going to have 9 of these if-else statements. Okay, and then if I scan down quickly to mouse clicked, this is if my screen is 1, then I'm checking to see if they clicked on that button. So this is the 2-player button. By the way, when writing comments, you don't have to write a comment for every single line of code, but it is nice to have a comment for each major algorithm step. So I could put up here, get the x and y coordinates. All right, so you don't have to comment every single line, but something like this is great. So the other thing is just make sure that all of this code goes inside screen 2. So if I scroll down even further, you'll see that, okay, so this is the code for if they clicked on box A, and then this here is the code if they clicked on box B, and all of that code, all of it is inside this if statement, if screen is equal to 2. So you have to be careful about these braces. So there's the open brace, and then all the way at the bottom, there's 9 if statements there, and then there's the closing of the screen 2 brace, and then of course we are repainting. Okay, so hopefully all of that is working. So now we want to check for a winner. So every time I draw my board, I'm going to draw my background, my grid lines, and then I'm going to draw all the necessary images. Then after that, I'm going to call a method called check winner. And this method is not going to return anything. It's just going to be a void procedure method, and it's not going to accept any parameters as well. So inside here, I'm going to say public void check winner. And then inside this method, we simply have to check all the ways that somebody could win. So let's say across the top row, if I go to my rough work here, so the top row some of my math stuff there. Okay, so in the top row, A, B, and C are my variables. So in my code, I'm going to say if A is equal to 1, and B is equal to 1, and C is equal to 1. So if all of those are equal to 1, then that means player 1 wins across the top. So what are we going to do if this happens? Well, you might want to have like a celebration screen for player 1 or player X or whatever you're calling it. So what I'm going to do if this is true, if all of these are true, I'm going to say screen equals 3. So you have to keep track of your screens. Some of you are adding extra screens, which is amazing. You're adding some, choose difficulty or choose your image, which is great. But just make sure you keep track of your screens. So for me, screen 1 is my title screen. Screen 2 is my playing board. And then screen 3 is going to be if player 1 wins, which for me is going to be Homer. Okay. Then I need to also check for the next row. So else if D equals 1 and E1 equals 1 and F equals 1. So this is the middle row. Then I'm also going to go to screen 3. So player 1 wins again. All right, I guess we don't need these braces. We can kind of save lines of code here. The other thing you can do is you can combine these if statements. Because we're doing the same thing here, you could just put an or, and then this whole thing could go there, if you know what I mean. But then you're going to have a really long if statement. I mean, that's okay, but if you have an error and something's not working in your program, it might be hard to find that error. So I like to break it up like this anyway. Okay, and then the bottom row is if G1 is 1, H is 1, and I is 1. Okay, now we're not done. That's only 3. We've got 6 more to go. So I'm going to let you figure out the other 6. Are there 6? No, hold on. Sorry, there's 8 total ways to win. So I've done 3 for you. So I'm going to have you try and do the other 5. I'm going to put a little comment up here just saying, check if player 1 wins. And then I'll take that off. Okay, and then of course after you're done more of these, you have to do it all over again to see if player 2 wins. Marge in my case. So you're going to do another if statement, to say if A is equal to 2 and B is equal to 2 and C is equal to 2. Then instead of going to screen 3, I'm going to go to screen 4. So we're going to have to draw a new screen if player 2 wins. So maybe it has a big picture of Marge, it says Marge wins on this screen. And then on screen 3, there's a big picture of Homer Simpson. So it's like the ending screen. What would be really cool also is if you had a little button that says play again, and when they click on that button, it takes you back to screen 1, your title screen. So that would be really neat if you could figure that out. Okay, so then we're going to need 7 more of these statements to check to see if player 2 wins. Okay, so I will let you do that, and then there's something else we have to figure out. We have to figure out how, if there's a tie. So this doesn't yet check for that. So I'm going to let you think about how you could determine if there's a tie, and then maybe make it go to screen 5. So there's going to be another end screen if they tie. So all right, so I'll let you finish this, and then we will carry on in the next video.